Science and faith have been seen as two separate paths in history. However, the Qur'an not only provides spiritual guidance to humanity, but also pointed to scientific truths centuries before they were discovered. The hidden scientific miracles in every verse reveal the power of divine knowledge. We will witness step by step how every new discovery in science aligns with divine revelation. Get ready to explore these extraordinary truths that bring together the mysteries of the universe and the greatest questions about human creation. This video will challenge what you thought you knew and offer you a completely new perspective. We claim, from now, this century will be the century of the Qur'an. The strongest voice will be the voice of Islam. Before we begin, we have an important message for you. By liking this video and subscribing to the channel, you can help spread the message of Islam to more people. In doing so, you may contribute to delivering Dawah to thousands in the farthest corners of the world, places you may never visit, becoming a part of this circle of blessings. The Qur'an is a book that concisely contains the most accurate information about the creation of the universe and humankind. The values of each era are different, and today, one of the most important values is science. Those who use science as a shield for their disbelief present it as if it were an alternative to religion. Through the scientific miracles in the Qur'an, Allah has supported those in this era who wish to believe. Even though previous people did not fully understand the meanings of these miracles, they did not deny them. The scientific facts in the Qur'an are usually conveyed in a single sentence without going into detail. When science discovers this information, we recognize the miraculous nature of the Quranic verses. The Qur'an itself is the greatest miracle. Knowledge is the name of Allah's art of creation and the laws He has established as the ruler of this universe. In religious literature, these laws are referred to as Sunnatullah, Allah's established way. Miracles, on the other hand, are events that would not occur without the use of physical laws, but Allah demonstrates them through His prophets. With today's science, we can only understand a portion of the physical laws. These laws do not exist just because we have discovered them. They were valid even before we knew about them. Likewise, there are many laws and pieces of knowledge that we do not yet understand. It is not right to reject them simply because we do not know them. They are real and exist, waiting to be discovered by us. As modern science advances, it becomes easier to comprehend the miracles of the Qur'an. Even though some of the actions of past prophets seemed extraordinary, in the last century we have begun to understand that they were within the framework of physical laws. For example, the miracle of Queen Bilqis' throne being transported in less than a second in the story of Prophet Sulaiman, or the use of wind for travel. These are miracles that can be understood and explored through science. Allah guides us to study miracles and the wonders of the prophets through scientific research. We will now explain all of these in detail. Let's begin with the connection between the quantum theory and the Qur'an's explanation of destiny. We have kept it as simple as possible, but for a better understanding of some topics, rewinding and re-listening may be beneficial. Miracle in the Qur'an, quantum theory. Quantum theory reveals that the position and time of subatomic particles cannot be precisely predicted. These particles can influence one another across vast distances, unaffected by the speed of light. Time as we perceive it, does not exist at this level. Our future choices can shape the characteristics of these particles. Einstein referred to this mysterious phenomenon as spooky action at a distance. This indicates that the universe and our destiny operate through highly complex mechanisms. The Qur'an states, "All goodness is from Allah, and all evil is from your own selves." This means that most events in our lives are the result of our own choices. However, quantum theory suggests that our future decisions can also influence our past states. In Surah Taha, Allah says to Musa, Prophet Moses, "You have arrived here according to a predetermined decree." This aligns with the concept of retrocausality in quantum mechanics. Destiny transcends time. A person's life unfolds based on their own choices, achievements, and failures. Thus, it is not correct to ask why we experience the destiny that Allah already knows. Destiny is a whole that exists beyond time, shaped by our own actions. The land and sea, ratio miracle. Did you know that the words land and sea appear a total of 45 times in the Qur'an? The word land is mentioned 13 times, while the word sea appears 32 times. However, what is even more astonishing is the ratio between these two words. When we calculate the percentage, land accounts for approximately 28.89%, while sea makes up about 71.11%. You might be wondering what these numbers signify. In fact, these percentages match the exact proportion of land and sea on Earth. It is truly remarkable that even the smallest details in the Qur'an carry such profound meanings, reflecting Allah's magnificent creation. The miracle of Surah Al-Kahf. In verse 11 of Surah Al-Kahf, a fascinating scientific truth is revealed. The Arabic word darabna, used in the verse means to strike or to place upon, and in this context, it refers to striking their ears. In Arabic, this phrase signifies the prevention of hearing. According to modern scientific discoveries, hearing is the only sensory function that remains active during sleep, which is why we rely on alarm clocks to wake up. Other senses, such as vision and touch, become inactive during sleep. Thus, when Allah states in the Qur'an that He placed a seal upon the ears of the people of the cave, it implies that their hearing was completely suspended, allowing them to sleep for an extended period without being awakened by external sounds. The story of Ashab al-Kahf, people of the cave, in the Qur'an contains multiple scientific insights. Verse 18 of Surah Al-Kahf describes how these individuals, who slept for 3 centuries, were turned from side to side by Allah. This phenomenon has only recently been understood in medical science. Why is turning the body important during long-term sleep? Modern medicine confirms that people who remain in the same sleeping position for extended periods develop severe health complications. These include circulatory disorders, bed sores, pressure ulcers, blood clotting in areas under prolonged pressure. When a person lies in the same position for too long, excessive pressure on certain areas of the body compresses blood vessels, cutting off circulation. As a result, the affected tissue begins to die. This condition, known as pressure sores, was only recognized in modern medicine. Yet the Qur'an described how Allah prevented such damage by turning the people of the cave periodically. The miracle of redesign. The Qur'an revealed an astonishing scientific fact 1400 years ago, one that scientists have only recently discovered. This knowledge was first uncovered in 1880 by Francis Galton. In Surah Al-Qiyamah, Allah says, "Does man think that we will not assemble his bones? Yes, we are able to proportion even his fingertips. This verse suggests that just as archaeologists today can reconstruct appearances and restore dinosaurs from a single bone, Allah has the power to bring back even the most intricate details of the human body. This truth once again proves that the Qur'an is from Allah and could not have been written by humans. String theory in the Qur'an. As Muslims, we believe that Allah created everything in the universe, down to the smallest particles that make up our existence. As science advances, it is surprising to see how many of the Qur'an's statements align with modern scientific theories. One such theory is string theory, which describes particles as tiny, vibrating strings. It is intriguing that Surah An-Nisa 4:49 mentions the smallest possible unit by stating that the good deeds of righteous people will not be wasted, even if they are as small as a fiber or a thread-like structure. This closely resembles how strings are described in string theory. Furthermore, verse 124 of the same surah refers to severing, which relates to the smallest vibration of a string. It is remarkable to see how this aligns with the scientific understanding of how the mass of a particle relates to its vibrations in string theory. The fire tornado miracle. In Surah Al-Baqarah 2266, the Quran describes a fire tornado, also known as a fire whirl. The verse uses this as an example of a fire consuming a garden. A fire tornado is an extremely rare natural phenomenon that was first officially confirmed in 2003 during the Canberra forest fires in Australia. Before this, no one was certain of its existence. Interestingly, after 2003, fire tornadoes began to be observed more frequently. Reports of such events surfaced during the Carr Fire in California in 2018 and the Loyalton Fire in Nevada in 2020. How did the Quran describe this rare phenomenon, which was only confirmed in recent years? The dawn that begins to breathe. Phytoplankton, like trees, perform photosynthesis and produce oxygen, making life possible for both marine and terrestrial creatures. They absorb sunlight to generate oxygen, meaning our atmospheric oxygen is directly linked to the sun. If the sun were to disappear, Earth's oxygen would eventually deplete. Studies show that phytoplankton produce the highest amount of oxygen in the early morning hours. As the sun rises, harmful effects begin to damage the phytoplankton, reducing their oxygen production. The morning is the time when oxygen is generated most rapidly. It is as if the earth begins to breathe, filling its lungs with oxygen. By the dawn as it breathes. How did the Quran reveal this fact? It is truly miraculous that a book written 1450 years ago contains such precise scientific knowledge. While the Quran holds no scientific contradictions, it is filled with countless miraculous insights. Bee navigation. Then eat from all the fruits and follow the ways your Lord has made easy for you. From their bellies comes a drink of varying colors, in which there is healing for people. Indeed, in this, there is a sign for those who reflect. Qur'an 1668-69. If we pay close attention, the verse first mentions eating from the fruits, then following the ways made easy by the Lord, and immediately afterward, it speaks about bees, concluding with a message that there is a lesson for those who reflect. The connection may not seem obvious at first, but as Allah encourages, let us think deeply and try to draw wisdom from this. The explanation bees are among the best navigators in the world. Scientists have long studied how they manage to find their way back to their hives with such precision. Bees navigate by constantly measuring the angle of the sun, something the human brain cannot do. Despite their small size, they travel vast distances relative to their body proportions and by evening return to their hives without getting lost among millions of flowers and trees. To put this ability into human perspective, imagine flying between countries without a map or GPS, yet always returning home effortlessly. This is the level of navigational skill that bees possess. When bees venture out from their hives, they move in zigzag patterns, exploring their surroundings. However, on their way back, they always find the shortest and most efficient route. Scientists refer to this phenomenon as the traveling salesman problem, a complex mathematical challenge where the goal is to find the shortest possible route between multiple points. Bees solve this problem effortlessly, despite having a brain smaller than a grain of rice. The wisdom behind bee navigation. When bees return to their hives, they need to communicate their discoveries to other bees. They do this through a highly advanced form of mental navigation and communication, transferring exact coordinates of flower locations through a special dance. Scientists studying this phenomenon state, if we can understand how small-brained creatures like bees accomplish such complex and flexible behaviors, we can apply this knowledge to artificial intelligence and robotics. Life in this world is much like the intricate paths of bees. It is full of complicated decisions, countless factors, and challenges that require careful navigation. Just as bees instinctively follow the path that Allah has made easy for them, humans are also guided toward the right path when they place their trust in Allah. If we move forward in Allah's name, we will never be lost, because the one who ensures that even a tiny bee never loses its way will never abandon his servant who sincerely seeks him. Non-mixing seas and Quranic coordinates. In the Baltic Sea and the Gulf of Alaska, we witness the remarkable phenomenon of two seas that do not mix. The water in the Baltic Sea contains significantly less salt compared to the North Sea, resulting in a visible halocline barrier between them. If you look at Google Maps at latitude 55 degrees and longitudes 19 degrees and 20 degrees, you will find Gdansk Bay in the Baltic Sea. Interestingly, at the bottom of this bay, there exists a large freshwater reservoir, essentially a freshwater sea within a saltwater sea. What makes this even more intriguing is that Qur'an 55:19-20 describes this exact phenomenon. He released the two seas, meeting side by side. Between them is a barrier that they do not transgress. Qur'an 55:19-20. The coordinates of this scientific phenomenon precisely align with the Quranic verse that describes it. How could this have been known at the time of the Prophet? How did the Qur'an specifically reference a natural event that was discovered only in recent history? Can those who explain everything as coincidence still attribute this to mere chance? After witnessing this scientific miracle in the Qur'an, can one still claim it is just a coincidence? The Forelock region and lying in Surah Al-Alaq 96:16, the Qur'an mentions the forelock. "No, if he does not desist, we will surely drag him by the forelock," a lying, sinful forelock. Qur'an 96:15-16. But why does the Qur'an refer to the forelock, Alan Percham, as lying and sinful? Modern neuroscientific research has revealed that lying occurs in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is exactly where the forehead, forelock, is located. Numerous studies have confirmed that the prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision-making, morality, and lying. For example, research by Yang et al. Found that pathological liars have a 22 to 26% increase in prefrontal cortex volume compared to non-liars. Additionally, MRI scans have shown that the prefrontal cortex becomes highly active when a person is lying. In summary, science has confirmed that the part of the brain responsible for lying is precisely in the forehead region, just as the Qur'an mentioned 1400 years ago. Is this knowledge coincidence or yet another miracle of the Qur'an? The miracle of locust eggs in the Qur'an. The Qur'an describes the resurrection of people from their graves on the Day of Judgment with a striking comparison. With their eyes humbled, they will emerge from their graves as if they were swarming locusts. Qur'an 54:7. This locust analogy actually reflects a deep biological reality. Locusts lay their eggs about 10 centimeters underground. When the eggs hatch, the young locusts quickly break through the soil and emerge onto the surface. This mirrors the resurrection process described in the Qur'an. Just as locusts emerge from the earth, so too will people rise from their graves on Judgment Day. This scientific resemblance not only highlights the wisdom in the Qur'an's descriptions, but also emphasizes the sudden and inevitable nature of the resurrection, much like the rapid movement of locusts bursting from the soil. The rotation of the sky in the Qur'an, by the sky which returns, Qur'an 86:11. What does the returning nature of the sky mean? Science reveals multiple layers of the atmosphere, each with unique properties that involve returning or reflecting elements back to Earth. The troposphere allows water vapor to rise, condense, and return to Earth as rain. The magnetosphere deflects harmful radiation and solar winds, preventing them from reaching Earth. The ionosphere reflects radio waves back to different parts of the planet, enabling long-distance communication. The ozone layer, stratosphere, absorbs and blocks harmful ultraviolet UV radiation, protecting life on Earth. The Quranic verse describes the sky as returning, which aligns with modern scientific findings. How could this knowledge have been known 1400 years ago? Ear pressure and chest constriction in the Qur'an. Whomever Allah wills to guide, He expands his chest for Islam. But whomever He wills to leave astray, He makes his chest tight and constricted as if he were ascending into the sky. Thus, Allah places defilement upon those who do not believe. Qur'an 6:125. Modern aerospace and medical sciences confirm that as a person ascends to higher altitudes, they experience hypoxia, oxygen deficiency, due to decreasing air pressure. This leads to chest tightness and breathing difficulties, just as the Qur'an describes. As altitude increases, air pressure drops, oxygen levels decrease, chest tightness and breathlessness occur. This is scientifically accurate and corresponds exactly with the experience of high-altitude climbers, pilots, and astronauts. How did the Qur'an describe this phenomenon centuries before aviation and space exploration? This is yet another scientific miracle of the Qur'an. The shape and orbit of the moon in the Qur'an. And we have set for the moon phases, stations, until it returns like the old curved date stalk. Qur'an 36:39. The phases and orbit of the moon are described in the Qur'an as stations, menzils. The comparison to a curved, dried date stalk remarkably resembles the moon's actual orbital path. Today, we can only observe this movement through satellite imagery, yet the Qur'an described it perfectly 1400 years ago. In contrast, many ancient Greek texts, once considered advanced, are now filled with myths and inaccuracies. However, the Qur'an, revealed through an illiterate prophet, continues to align with modern scientific discoveries. Every day, new scientific truths emerge, confirming the greatness of the Qur'an and shaking those who witness them. Quantum tunneling in the Qur'an. The Qur'an does not contain idle words or promises that are impossible to fulfill. One of the most famous Quranic metaphors is, "Indeed, those who deny our verses and are arrogant toward them, the gates of heaven will not be opened for them. nor will they enter paradise until a camel passes through the eye of a needle. Quran 7:40. Is it really possible for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle? Modern quantum physics reveals a phenomenon called quantum tunneling. It shows that subatomic particles behave like waves and can sometimes pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross. Quantum tunneling plays a role in photosynthesis, smell detection, star fusion. However, as atoms combine into complex structures, the probability of quantum tunneling decreases significantly. For a large object like a camel to pass through another material, it would only be possible if it could behave like a wave, a concept deeply rooted in quantum mechanics. This Quranic metaphor aligns perfectly with scientific reality, highlighting the impossibility of certain things, such as the entry of disbelievers into paradise. Interestingly, some speculate that the throne of Queen Bilqis, which was transported to Prophet Suleiman, might have involved knowledge of quantum tunneling. The universe floats in a superfluid. The sun cannot overtake the moon, nor does the night outpace the day. Each floats in an orbit. Quran 36:40. In 2014, physicists Stefano Liberati and Luca Macchioni proposed that space itself exhibits fluid-like properties, meaning the entire universe is floating in a superfluid medium. This superfluid has near-zero viscosity, making it undetectable to us. However, it allows photons, light particles, to move in waves, just like ripples in water. Matter to behave like waves, forming cosmic structures similar to fluid motion. This mysterious substance is sometimes referred to as ether, and scientists believe it plays a key role in gravity and the fabric of space-time. The Quranic verse describing celestial bodies floating in an orbit mirrors modern discoveries about the fluid-like nature of the cosmos, a concept unknown at the time of revelation. How could this knowledge have been known 1400 years ago unless the Qur'an is truly from Allah? The moment of death in the Qur'an. But when the soul reaches the throat while you are looking on, we are closer to it than you, but you do not see. Quran 56:83-85. At the moment of death, the human body undergoes a series of physiological changes. One of the key medical symptoms observed is the loss of the swallowing reflex, which occurs as the brain gradually loses control over the body's functions. This does not apply to sudden deaths, but happens when a person slowly enters the process of dying. As death approaches, the brain shuts down organ control in a step-by-step manner. The Quran further describes this moment. No. When the soul reaches the throat and it is said, "Is there any healer who can cure him?" and the dying person realizes that it is the moment of departure, and the legs are intertwined in stiffness. That day, the only destination is with your Lord. Quran 75:26-30. The phrase, "when the soul reaches the throat," aligns with the scientific understanding of death as a gradual loss of bodily control. Modern research confirms that the final indicator of brain death is the loss of the pupillary light reflex, meaning if the pupil no longer reacts to light, complete brain death has occurred. This scientific reality, described 1400 years ago, is yet another miracle of the Qur'an. Plants have male and female counterparts in Surah Taha 20:53. The Qur'an states, "And he sends down water from the sky, and with it we bring forth pairs of plants of different kinds." The Arabic word azwaj means pairs, and is derived from zawji, meaning a counterpart or a mate. Modern botany confirms that plants have male and female reproductive organs. This was discovered centuries after the Qur'an was revealed. Flowering and seed-producing plants have both male and female reproductive structures. The female reproductive organ contains an ovary which holds tiny round ovules, egg cells, needed for fertilization. The male reproductive organ produces pollen grains which contain male reproductive cells. Pollen is transferred by wind or pollinators, such as bees, to reach the ovary where fertilization occurs. This Quranic statement predates scientific discoveries and highlights a deep biological fact that was unknown at the time. How could this knowledge be in the Qur'an 1400 years ago unless it was revealed by Allah? Dark seas and 100-meter waves in the Qur'an. The deeds of those who disbelieve are like darkness in a deep sea, covered by waves upon waves, with clouds above them, layers of darkness, one above the other. If one stretches out his hand, he can hardly see it, and for whom Allah has not granted light, there is no light for him. Quran 24:40. The darkness of deep oceans was unknown to humanity until modern deep-sea exploration became possible with advanced diving equipment. Scientists now confirm that sunlight does not penetrate beyond 200 meters in the ocean, and at depths beyond 1,000 meters, complete darkness prevails. Additionally, recent research has revealed that massive internal waves occur deep within the oceans. These waves, which can reach heights of 500 meters, move beneath the surface like underwater mountains, yet they are invisible to the naked eye. Norwegian explorer Fridtjof Nansen discovered these massive waves in 1893 after losing control of his ship in their presence. Oceanographer Carl Helfrich explained that due to differences in water density, some ocean layers remain separated, creating conditions for deep-sea waves under high pressure. What is striking is that the Quranic verse explicitly states not just seas, but deep seas, and describes layered waves, a fact that was completely unknown at the time of revelation. The revelation of iron in the Qur'an. And we sent down iron, in which there is great military might and benefits for people. Qur'an 57:25. The phrase sent down, anzalna, in Arabic has both a literal and metaphorical meaning. Iron came from space. Scientific research confirms that iron is not originally from Earth. It was formed in ancient stars and spread throughout the galaxy by supernova explosions. Even the sun's heat is not sufficient to produce iron. Thus, the iron on Earth came from space, validating the Quran's wording. Iron is essential for life. Iron is not just for weapons, it is vital for survival. Iron deficiency causes anemia, which can be life-threatening. Every plant, animal, and microorganism requires iron to function. Modern research shows that iron particles also fall to Earth with rain, playing a crucial role in ecosystems and sustaining life. Desert dust, carried by winds and rain, provides essential iron to marine and terrestrial environments. This scientific reality, only understood in the last 20 years, was described in the Qur'an more than 1400 years ago. The miracle of milk in the Qur'an. And indeed, in cattle, there is a lesson for you. We give you to drink from what is in their bellies, between excretions and blood, pure milk, palatable to those who drink it. Qur'an 1666. This Quranic verse describes the formation of milk in a way that aligns perfectly with modern physiology. Digestion in the intestines. Food is broken down in the digestive system. Nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. Blood transports nutrients to the mammary glands. The circulatory system carries essential nutrients from digestion to the udder, milk-producing glands. The blood does not mix with milk, but delivers the necessary components. Milk is formed in the udder. The filtered nutrients are converted into pure, nourishing milk, free from impurities. During the time of revelation, humans had no scientific understanding of how milk was produced. Many people today still do not know that milk originates from blood-transported nutrients. The accuracy of the Qur'an's description, revealed centuries before scientific discoveries, is yet another clear sign of divine knowledge. Sirius Star and the Mirage Miracle. In Surah An-Najm 53:49, the Quran specifically mentions Sirius, Ash-Shira, and he is the Lord of Sirius. Quran 53:49. This verse warns those who worship deities believed to reside in Sirius, emphasizing that even Sirius has a Lord, Allah. The scientific significance of Sirius, one of the brightest stars in the night sky, has been revered across multiple ancient cultures. Babylonian and Assyrian traditions associated it with a bow and arrow. In China, it was called Hu Shi, meaning bow and arrow. Ancient Egyptian mythology depicted it in the Dendera temple with a bow and arrow symbol. Modern astronomy has revealed a remarkable fact. Sirius is not a single star, but a binary system consisting of Sirius A and Sirius B. These two stars revolve around each other in a curved bow-like orbit over a period of 49.9 years. This is astonishing when compared to Surah An-Najm 53:9. And he drew near and hung suspended like a bow's length or even closer. While early scholars interpreted this verse as describing the Prophet Muhammad's mirage, ascension, it is remarkable that it also aligns with modern astronomical observations of Sirius, which were only discovered in the 19th century. The Quran not only corrects mythological beliefs about Sirius, but also contains precise knowledge about its dual nature and orbit, which could not have been known at the time of its revelation. If you ever feel alone, know that this channel is just for you. With your support, we can reach others who feel the same and are searching for a light. Every subscriber helps us touch another heart in need of hope. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.